We hold these truths to be self-evident.
That all men are created equal.
That they are endowed by their Creator
with certain unalienable rights.
That among these are life,
liberty,
and the pursuit of happiness.
What actionable takeaways would you offer to any Gen Z viewers who are watching this conversation right now?
Well, since this conversation is about Black women and, our erasure and social movements, I think I should make it known that when Black women are free, we're all free. Like when Black women and girls are free, then we're all free, because our freedom would have to mean that all systems of oppression would have to be dismantled and burnt to the ground. So I'm still, personally grappling with the idea of what it means for Black women, and not just, cisgender heterosexual Black women, but poor Black women, trans Black women who exist outside of the gender binary. Like, what does it mean for all Black women to be free so that everyone else can be free? And that's something that I'm personally still, grappling with the idea of. But I think that is the takeaway that I want for anyone who's watching this video, to understand that Black women have been pretty much the backbone of society since the beginning of time. And for us to be free, you have to understand that that would have to mean that every single system of oppression would have to be destroyed. But we first have to understand, like, what does it even mean for Black women to be free, and how can we get there?
I think for me, one thing that's super important is don't be an activist and don't be a leader alone. Don't do it alone. I think it's super important to be self-motivated, but you can't change the world by yourself. It's not possible. No one's done it yet. And it's super important that you get your recognition for what you do participate in, but also to remember that being a leader is already super lonely by itself. And I think anyone in this space that's on this panel right now has done something or led something or started something or been a part of something by themselves and felt kind of proud, but also kind of sad about it. And I think it's super important for Gen Z to understand that we have a lot of power in the information on our phones. We also need to remember that not everything that we see and read is true, and that we need to inform ourselves. And just like Janaya said, become an expert in the things that you care about, and those things and ideas can shift. So make sure that you build your own community, which can be developed online or developed in your school or developed in your communities. But also remember that sometimes the things that we have on our phone, and we're exposed to sometimes things that are super awesome or things that are super scary and hard, that we figure out what we care about, what we're passionate about, our own personal experiences, inform ourselves, and then use our perspectives as a motivation for change. And those perspectives can align with so many other people. So don't start anything by yourself, don't finish anything by yourself, and don't exist in spaces that are dangerous or harmful or worrisome by yourself.
I think many people, they always say, like, stay in a child's place, or like, you can't have an opinion on this. So it's just important to know that I'm only 14, so people always tell me to stay in a child's place or I should not have my own opinion. Don't be afraid to use your voice, because it doesn't matter your age, you're human, and you have a voice and you have an opinion, and your opinion matters. And especially during this time, if you are affected by it and you want to say something, but you're afraid of getting judged on, you're afraid that people will disagree with you, it's important that you say something and that you use your voice. I think don't be afraid to, like, stand out. There's many things that I think that I want to say that sometimes I'm just like, I'm not going to say that. People are going to disagree. Nobody's saying this. But those are also the things that when I do post it, everyone is just like, wow, I've never seen that perspective of life. So just to not be afraid to be different and honestly use your voice and stay out of a child's place, if that even makes sense. To like be you. I guess that's what I want you to take away from this.
Eris, just what she said is really important and super poignant, that the idea of waiting until you grow up, which is actually something that I've kind of not stolen this, but taken this idea a lot from a person I care about named Haley Thomas. She's a food activist, and she's super cool, she's super dope. But she talks about how a lot of the time she's told that she was needed to wait until she grew up to care about something. Don't wait until you grow up. Don't wait. By the time that you have grown up to care about something, you've already experienced and numbed out so many, whether it's microaggressions, experience and oppression that you haven't noticed. So being socially observant and being socially conscious is a super important tool. The reason why, and I get the question a lot, like, how did you even notice that you weren't represented? It is because my parents taught me to be educated on my Blackness, the way in which my Blackness affects other people and my community at a super young age. So just like Eris said, there is no child's place. I think obviously we all have different experiences as children. I don't know everything, but speaking on what you care about and speaking on what you know is super important. And using your voice is a really important tool for that. And alongside that comes parents. I think people forget that kids can't do this alone. And that's really my main point, is that parents need to be able to create a space to listen. I know as a kid, like, I've broken vases before, and I've been able to tell my parents that I broke them. But for a lot of kids, you know, you want to keep it a secret. You want to hide it under the rug. And that's the same thing, in my opinion, with social issues. If you notice that you're being bullied because you're Black, if you notice that you are experiencing microaggressions about your hair, about your skin, about your lips, sometimes you want to act like those things don't exist because you feel as though it's a way for them to disappear. But a lot of the times it is parents, it is caregivers' ability to check in with their children and provide them with vocabulary on social activism, vocabulary on what it means to be a person of color, vocabulary on what it means to be a white person in America, and really providing kids with tools and resources at a young age so you can grow up to be a person that has always been conscious and doesn't need to learn things at an age where it's never too late, but it might feel a little bit too late to really be a part of the conversation the way you could have been.
Just like, don't let anybody dim down your voice. You gotta like use your voice. And like, okay, so it's just like, use what you have. Like, if you have a platform, like, just use that. Don't just sit there behind the screen and think that you did something. You actually have to use your platform and use all that you have to end up changing the world. And like they were saying, you don't have to wait to grow. You don't have to wait until you grow up to change the world. You can change it right now. We just need to have the right amount of teamwork to make basically the dream work. So corny.
No, what you just said was, I mean, absolutely on point. And I mean, what all of you all are saying, just the fact that, you know, a lot of times as teens and kids, especially if you do have somewhat of a large platform, or, you know, I know with Eris as well, like, you know, being on TV or being, you know, quote unquote, like public figures, I think everyone really expects you to be perfect and to, you know, just stay in your place and, you know, just say, hey, I'm an actor and this is all that I do, and just kind of stick in that area and, you know, kind of look towards the activists that, you know, we do have, the ones that dedicate their time every day to going out there and to trying to create change. And so I think just the biggest thing for me, what you all are saying is just, you know, if you do have the platform and you do have the voice and you do have the opportunity, regardless of what you do or what somebody thinks or what box somebody's trying to place you in, seize the opportunity. And if you're incredibly passionate about it, then speak up on it. Marquis, and then I would love to also get your thoughts.
Yeah, well, if there's anything that I can say right now to white people listening, it's to recognize when your white voice is the only one that's being listened to, because that's a really important thing to think about, because a lot of the times, clearly, we have a panel of incredibly intelligent, incredibly articulate people, and a lot of the times their voices are overlooked simply because they are Black. So you need to be listening to what they're saying, and then if you're in a space where you are the only one that's being listened to, you need to amplify that. That may mean that it's not only reposting what they've said onto your Instagram story. It may literally mean taking what they have said, putting your face to it, and saying, hey, this is what Ashlee Marie Preston just said on this, and I will quote it for you here, so that some people just, that's what they need. Some white people, that is what they need to get the point. So if that's what you need to do, do it. And then also to recognize when specifically your white body can be of assistance. We are seeing a lot of that in protest. We're seeing a lot of that right now specifically. There are a lot of videos that have come out recently of white people forming a shield around Black women, around Black trans women, around Black trans people, because the minute that your body is placed in front of the state, the police, they are immediately protected. There are so many videos that have just been really shocking to see like that. And then also set aside a reparations plan, because that money isn't even yours. So make sure that you are continuing to take the money that you have inherited from this stolen land and make sure that it is being put to places that do your research before you are donating your money, because there are a lot of nonprofit organizations where the money is not going to the places that you think that they're going to. So and also, if you can, donate directly. There's a lot of incredible resources that I've been trying to repost on Instagram. Aaron Phillips is always posting trans women's Venmo accounts who are in need right now. So that is a really clear, direct line of action that you can take. I also am feeling like a lot of people have been talking about the discussion of holding your white family accountable and holding your white friends accountable. And that is all good and well, but also at the same time, I think you need to be educating yourself so that you can come into the conversation well-equipped to do so.
The one thing that I wish I was told, especially when I was younger, was to not to waste any time focusing on being the most palatable version of myself. As a Black kid growing up, it was very important to be the best behaved in the room and the quietest in the room and the most respectful in the room. And that led to me losing a lot of aspects of just personality. And losing access to thought and losing access to things that would have really shaken up rooms that I was blessed to find myself in and lucky to be in. I think it hurts my heart whenever I think of especially Black kids silencing themselves. So I just think that, like, it's been said in so many different ways already, but like, make noise, be loud, make people uncomfortable, make your presence known at every turn. Because it's important and it's needed and your voice is needed, and there are things that you have thought through and actions that you have taken that no one else has even considered. So your voice and your access is important in that way. And also, I just want to, I mean, back to what Janaya said about this sort of like dated concept of allyship. Like I've never thought of it in that way, and that's definitely one of the most important things I'm coming away from this conversation with, is sort of like thinking about what allyship means to me and thinking about ways in which I can revamp that and make it more interesting and less boring. I think that's so true and super valid and valuable. So I want to make sure that was just like said again, because that blew my mind.
Help us, we help them. Compassion is ingrained in love. That's the answer, but we answer to the opposite direction of the cause. Black bodies, they don't care. You see me unaware of what's on my mind. Black bodies, oh, I need you to see me, yeah. I got some good change in my heart. That's where change gotta start. That's where change gotta start.